morning. Happy Thursday to you all. My name is Andrea Orm. If you are new around here, I am a music teacher for pre-K through 12th graders, actually, and beyond, because I teach a lot of adults for music lessons as well. And I also like to help newer music teachers and teachers who are approaching a new type of teaching or a new, age group of teaching, how to have some quick wins and feel supported in that crazy season when you're changing things up. So let's get into it. Today, our topic of the day is classroom too noisy, how to incorporate instruments without it getting too loud and you going insane. And here's why we're talking about that, because I am a music teacher, but I'm also what's called an HSP, or a highly sensitive person. So most people would not believe that or know that about me, because they're like, well, you're a music teacher. You have all this noise in your classroom. How can you be sensitive or highly sensitive? How does that work? Well, when there's controlled sound or controlled chaos, I'm a lot more functional, a lot more sensory-wise happy. But I am very sensitive. So when there's crazy sounds happening, when there's like big things going on that are like overwhelming, that can be overwhelming for me too. And it's nice. I actually kind of like the fact that I'm highly sensitive, because 20% of our population is. And so that means 20% of our students are also going to be highly sensitive, and I can really meet some of their needs and be recognizing of the struggles that they may face coming into my space. So anyway, long story short, that's why we're talking about this, because people were asking about it, and I think it's really beneficial for us to be discussing. So here we go. Let's get into it. How to incorporate the instruments without getting too loud. Number 1, start small. What do I mean by small? Start with one instrument. Here's how I do that. You might be like, one instrument for 30 kids? How do you do that? Well, I do it, and I do it well. So I start with the loud instruments, like a tambourine, because tambourines are loud, and most kids do not want this experience with 30 people holding one. I don't want this experience with 30 people holding one. So what I do, in this case, I have a drummed one, but you could use one that does not have a drum on it. I use it, and I have them sing or practice playing while I'm singing. And they learn a song that goes along with it, and it's super short, like this. Listen, listen, here I come. Someone gets to play the drum. Super simple. I do it a few more times. Listen, listen, here I come. Someone gets to play the drum. Or a little slower. Listen, listen, here I come. Someone gets to play the drum. And then I pass it around the circle and have the kids play it while I sing. And eventually, they learn the song too, and then I can do singing assessments while they take another turn. Now, I don't do this all in one day. I do a little bit at a time. Sometimes I don't get to everybody playing the first day, but I actually I use my seating charts, and I use this activity to assess steady beat keeping, so I can assess them while they're taking a turn, right? So for them, it's taking a turn, and I wrote down that they took a turn. For me, it's assessing something, and maybe I'll use that assessment for grading purposes. Maybe I won't, but it's super helpful. Here's another example. This is an instrument you might not have a lot of, a kabasa. It's very fun. I only have 2 of them. Most classrooms don't have very many of them. So here's another one. And it can get kind of loud too. Engine number 9, going down Chicago line. See it sparkle, see it shine. Engine number 9. Right? Great example of being able to assess their expressivity once they know the words, they can say the poem or the little rhyme with it. Okay, they could say it while they're playing, or you could have one student say it and one student play it. Once they have it, I say it for the first couple class periods while I'm having them have a turn. So they get lots of turns. It practices waiting turns, taking turns, and since I only have 1 or 2, it's kind of nice because I can just pass them around and utilize them really well, even while keeping it not too noisy. All right, so those are 2 examples of ways you can incorporate instruments without being too loud, in a way that is starting small and keeping it simple. Okay, here's another way. You might be like, but I have older students and I have more like barred instruments like xylophones and stuff, start by teaching them expectations and routines. Okay, that's number 2. Teaching them expectations and routines. What that looks like for me, I might spend at the beginning of the year a whole class period teaching them how to take out the instruments, how to place them in the room the way that I want them. If I have my own classroom space, which I personally don't have that advantage right now, but I know many of you do. Having your own classroom space, you could even put like a Velcro spot on the floor or use your sit spots in a way that they put the instrument on top of the sit spots, whatever ways you want to utilize the space in your room to teach them to take things out and put them away. And if you teach them to do it in a careful but quick manner, it can be like a challenge for them, like, oh, not a race to see how fast, but a challenge to see how carefully and quietly, maybe. Those could be the 2 categories that you want to use, because that's what I use. Carefully and quietly, you could do it. So you could do it in teams. You could make sure that each student or a small group of students is assigned to one instrument. You could also, it just depends on how your instruments are stored, how they're set up, if you have to help them get them out, because when I did it, they were stacked on top of each other in a closet. So I had to take them off, pass them to the students, but it actually went really quickly because I taught them how to do it at the beginning of the year. Or a small group of them, you could just pick a handful of your students per class to teach. There's a lot of ways to do that. But once you teach those routines, they can do them. And if you take that extra time on one day of the year, they will have that extra routine down for the rest of the year. And you might just have to polish up and reteach or refresh that expectation, maybe after breaks or after you haven't used the instruments for a while. And so it can be really successful that way. Okay. Not only teaching those routines for taking them out, but teaching those routines for how to play them and follow through. Be consistent. So if a student plays before it's time to play, you take the instrument away. If the student plays in the middle of you talking, you take the mallets or the instrument away and you give them a break. You maybe let them come back in once they show you that they are able to do that they heard you, that they're taking you seriously, and that they're ready to try again, right? Because if you show great consistency at the beginning teaching those routines, you will have consistent students because they don't want to lose their turn. The instruments are a lot of a very fun activity. So they're not going to want to miss out on that kind of thing, right? So those are 2 big ways. That's all the time I have for today. Those are 2 big ways you can incorporate instruments into your classroom without it getting crazy noisy. And I'd love to hear how you have implemented this in your classroom. Tell me your wins. Tell me what you think. Tell me how things go, because I would love to hear about that. One thing that I love about doing the first step of using the first example I showed you of using just an example instrument is because it works really well with my informances. I don't know if you're familiar with an informance rather than a performance, but I'm going to be doing a workshop or a training on that very soon. So you can check out the link in the description of this video if you're like, what is that? I want to learn more about that. I want to learn when that is, what that looks like. So go check out the link in the description of this video to learn more about that. There's going to be a bonus for the people who sign up first, right? Who sign up earlier. So that's going to be kind of a fun little treat for those people. And it's just going to be so useful. It's so helpful to be able to have another tool in your toolbox, more ideas in your repertoire. And I'm going to provide a lot of resources to go with it that I have made and used successfully in my groups. So let's see. I see some comments. I'm going to throw you up on screen here. Hey, Lydia. Good morning. It's so nice to see you, my friend. And you shared you didn't know that it was 20%. Are you talking about the highly sensitive HSPs? Yes, it is 20% of the population. That is a lot of people, isn't it? So it is just fun to be able to recognize that. It's not as small of a percentage as you think. And it really, I know that I can relate to those types of students in a different way than other teachers can or other people can. And I can set up a normally noisy environment in a way that hopefully meets some of their needs a little bit better than maybe somebody else. So kind of fun, isn't it? All right, I gotta go. It's time to get rolling with the day, but I hope you have the best day ever. Make it the best day ever. Bye for now.